So we'll call this meeting to order, the Assembly Transportation Committee, and we'll establish a quorum at this time. Madam Secretary, will you call the roll?
Frazier.
Here.
Ashajian.
Here.
Baker. Here. Bloom. Campos.
Here.
Chu.
Here.
Daly. Dodd. Eduardo Garcia. Gomez. Kim. Linder. Medina. Melendez. Nazarian. O'Donnell.
We getting someone?
Chairman, I think my name was not called unless I did not hear my name.
Kim.
Present.
So we have a quorum. So I'd like to make some announcements and measures that are on the consent calendar. File item number 6, AB 218, Melendez. File item number 9, AB 270. File item number 11, ACR 1. File item 12, ACR 8. File item 14, ACR 16. And file item 15, ACR 21. Those are on consent. File item 13, ACR 14, Assemblymember Irwin has been removed from the consent calendar, will be on our file today to be heard. So measures to be re-referred to another committee upon passage out of committee.
We don't need it. We can
Okay, we'll just,
let's take up consent.
yeah. So since we have a quorum, I'd like to entertain a motion for the consent calendar.
So moved.
I have a first from Mr. Asajian and second from Mr. Kansen-Chu. Second. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll of the vote?
The vote is on the consent calendar. Frazier.
Aye.
Frazier, aye. Ashajian.
Aye.
Ashajian, aye. Baker. Baker, aye. Bloom. Bloom, aye. Campos. Campos, aye. Chu. Chu, aye. Daly. Dodd. Dodd, aye. Eduardo Garcia.
Aye.
Eduardo Garcia, aye. Gomez. Kim.
Aye.
Kim, aye. Linder.
Aye.
Linder, aye. Medina. Melendez. Melendez, aye. Nazarian. O'Donnell. O'Donnell, aye.
Consent calendar is out. Thank you, Madam Secretary. So we will move on to today's business. AB 8, Mr. Gatto, please. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Testing. There we go. All right. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Congratulations on taking over this committee, and welcome members. I'm here to present to you Assembly Bill 8, which would create a yellow alert system to allow law enforcement to use the state's existing network of freeway signs to engage the public to help catch hit-and-run perpetrators. I don't need to tell any of you that there is a problem we have in this state with hit-and-run crimes. You turn on the TV every week in our districts, you hear of yet another tragedy. In Los Angeles, over 50% of accidents are hit and runs. So 50% of the people who commit an accident leave the scene. If you kill somebody with a vehicle in Los Angeles and in the state of California, there is an 80% chance that you will escape justice. 4/5 of those who kill somebody with a car are never brought to justice. This bill is rather simple, rather elegant. It would simply allow law enforcement to broadcast on those freeway signs that a hit and run has occurred if they have a sufficient description. And it allows them to use the public as a resource to help catch the perpetrators. There was a similar program put in place in the city of Denver, Colorado. Their apprehension rate went from 20%, just like we have here in California, to 76% in 1 year. Think about that. They went from 4/5 of the people who commit these crimes going free to 76% are actually brought to justice. That's a meaningful metric that we can use to evaluate this bill. If you think about it, these crimes are by their very nature something that occurs with somebody who has the means and the mechanism to get away fast. This isn't a stick up on foot. This isn't a cyber crime. This is a crime where somebody has shown the willingness to flee the scene, and they've got a car, they're already driving down the street, and they're on a road, so they can get away very fast. And that's why very few people are caught. When you're driving down the freeway and you see someone weaving in and out of lanes, you might be like me. You might assume that that person is just a jerk who drives poorly or that they're late for work, but that also could be somebody who just fled the scene of a crime. So this bill, I think, would do quite a bit to enable law enforcement using the public to catch people who commit these very, very heinous crimes. And I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Any questions of any of the committee members of Mr. Gatto? Oh, excuse me. Correct. So do we have any supporters in the affirmative for this?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, James Lombard on behalf of the Beta California Motorcycle Riders Organization. We are, completely pretty much bare. We don't have a lot of metal around us when we get hit and get downed. And it's been notorious of hit-and-run drivers running away from the scenes where they've injured a motorcyclist. So we urge your support of this measure. Thank you.
Steve Wallach on behalf of the California Bicycle Coalition. We're also in here in support of the bill. As we've developed complete streets and implemented that process, we feel it's important to complete the public safety aspect of it and provide the enforcement tools that would allow for hopefully to abate these hit-and-run incidents. Urge your support.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Christopher Castrillo on behalf of Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti. As Assemblymember Gatto mentioned, hit and runs are far too common in Los Angeles. It's a 2013-2014 report that stated nearly 20,000 hit and run incidents in the city alone, with about 4,000 of those resulting in personal injury or death. We just want to thank the Assemblymember for bringing it forward and ask for your support today. Thank you.
Any other support on this measure?
Good afternoon. Nicholas Harris. I'm the Western States representative for the American Motorcyclist Association, and we also very much support this bill for the reasons you've already heard. Thank you.
Any opposition to the bill? Oh, one more support. Go ahead,
support.
sir.
Shane Levine, Mr. Chair, Member Shane Levine on behalf of the Association of Orange County Deputy Sheriffs in support. Thank you.
Any members of the public that are wanting to testify in opposition? Smart move.
Mr. Chair, move the bill.
Second.
Questions of any of the committee members to Mr. Gatto? Ms. Melendez?
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Gatto.
Good afternoon.
So this is a bill similar to one you brought last year, right? So I just have one question. I mean, I like the bill, and I'm happy to support it again this year. But when it comes to prioritizing, whose vehicle gets placed on the board, particularly when you have an area where, like your area, you need more rural, more. It can be. Sure. Do you understand what I'm saying? How are local police departments going to prioritize whose name gets up on that board?
Sure. So we tried to draft this in the most sensible way possible, and I thank you for that question. First of all, we specifically wrote in there that this will not buzz phones like Amber Alerts can. We think that's a little bit intrusive for something that is uniquely a vehicular crime. Secondly, we give law enforcement broad discretion, but we do require that they have like a couple digits of the plate plus a vehicle description, something basic. We don't want them to just say, gray Toyota Camry. Quite frankly, that's probably 1 out of every 5 cars on the roads these days. But we want them to have some degree of a vehicle description, a few digits of the license plate, something like that. And to really narrowly tailor it down to those incidents, I think this will be something that is a powerful tool during those times and also won't overburden the system. Thank you.
Mr. Linder? I have to congratulate you for bringing forward another simple yet elegant measure.
Thank you.
That seems very, very common sense. I'm glad to support this and continue. I look forward to continuing to partner with you on stopping this plague of hit and run accidents that are happening all over the state, and as the Assembly member said, in all of our districts. So thank you for doing this, and you, of course, will count on my support.
And thank you for your hard work on this issue as well. I know you've done a lot. Thank you.
Any other questions from any of the committee members? Seeing none, Mr. Gatto, I'm very pleased to support your bill today. Hit and runs are a growing problem, and it impacts our most vulnerable road users, bicyclists and pedestrians mostly. And I'm glad we're using available resources to catch hit and run suspects that, this makes really good sense. Right. We know this works since it's already been done in Colorado with the Medina alert system. And hopefully this will not only help catch suspects, but also serve as a strong deterrent as well. And so I really do applaud you and the previous authors for taking this issue up and giving us the public safety another tool in the toolbox. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Would you like to close, sir?
No, I respectfully ask for your aye vote. Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Secretary, will you please call the vote?
The motion is a due pass to public safety. Frazier?
Aye.
Frazier, aye. Ashajian?
Aye.
Ashajian, aye. Baker? Aye. Baker, aye. Bloom? Aye. Bloom, aye. Campos? Aye. Campos, aye. Chu? Aye. Chu, aye. Daly? Aye. Daly, aye. Dodd? Aye. Dodd, aye. Eduardo Garcia?
Aye.
Eduardo Garcia, aye. Gomez? Gomez, aye. Kim? Aye. Kim, aye. Linder?
Aye.
Linder, aye. Medina? Aye. Medina, aye. Melendez?
Aye.
Melendez, aye. Nazarian? O'Donnell? Aye. O'Donnell, aye.
Mr. Gatto, your bill's out. We'll leave
Thank you very much.
the roll open if there's any members missing it this time.
Thank you. 210. 210.
He's got highlighted. Oh, yeah, 5.
Oh, I'm sorry. You have two?
I do.
Oh, I had Mr. Levine next. I'm sorry. Mr. Gatto, please present your next.
So I'm here to present next Assembly Bill 210, which has to do with using our carpool lane resources and our highway resources better. If you leave the halls of this Capitol and you take a drive in Northern California, you take either the highways that I would call the 50 or the 80, and I know Northern Californians call 50 and 80. They don't use the particle. You know that the carpool lanes in Northern California are managed different than they are in Southern California. Carpool lanes in Northern California have so-called flex lanes. This means that if it is not during the time of day that we are trying to incentivize people to share rides, if it is not during rush hour, anybody can access that carpool lane. And if you think about this, this makes sense. It's very easy to say, well, if you've got two county employees who are going to work from 9 to 5 at the same location, that we want to incentivize them to share a ride and to carpool. So we put the carpool lane in place during rush hour when it's needed most. But for the person who's got a commute that maybe starts at 10:30 a.m. and that person works till midnight, how do you incentivize that person to share a ride? The fact is that you cannot. That's why most carpool lanes in the state are run as flex lanes. During rush hour, they are carpool lanes. During non-rush periods, they are flexible. People can go in and out, which frankly is more safe. Study after study has shown that one of the biggest contributors to accidents in carpool lanes is people darting in and darting out because the lanes are not open. And it's also a much better use of our roadway infrastructure. We've all been on the freeway late at night. We've been on the freeway late at night and we see that mystery slowing. We don't know why the rightmost lanes are slowing at midnight, but they are. And the carpool lane sits vacant because it's not a flex lane. Now, those of you from Northern California are saying, duh, yeah, we know this. Those of you from Southern California might be saying, well, why aren't our carpool lanes ran that same fashion as they are in Northern California? I don't have the answer to that. What I'm seeking to do is to fix that for some of the major arteries that go through Southern California and go through a number of our districts. This would allow Caltrans to do a pilot project along the 210-134 corridor. This is a highway that runs from the San Fernando Valley through the San Gabriel Valley all the way to the Inland Empire. And it would allow them to allow these type of carpool flexible lanes during off hours. This is a corridor that has a lot of people who are involved in the entertainment industry and a lot of people, frankly, who have non-traditional commutes. And I think it would do a wonder for those people who are faced with that mystery slowing at midnight and wonder why we couldn't just manage our resources better. This bill, I think, is a simple thing, and I'm willing to look at the data that Caltrans gets back, and if it makes sense to do for all of Southern California, I would be right back introducing the same bill. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
So is any other members here to testify in support? Guess not. Any members in the public that want to testify in opposition? Seeing none, any members of our committee have a question? Mr. Sajjan?
No question, a statement. I second the bill. I use the freeways as often as maybe anybody else does, and it really works for me to travel from here to my district, and the hours 5 to 9 and 3 to 7 are for double occupancy, but because of my traveling habits, I'm often on the road at different hours. It helps to maintain the speed to reach A to Z. And every time I'm in LA, I always wonder why it's not the same. And
we do things differently, Mr. Sajjan.
I think the Northern Californians may be a little smarter in this case. I want to make Mr. Chu happy.
Yeah. Last year, I almost said "Go Giants" in committee, but then I caught myself. I know.
I just want to be sure that the Southern California people were alert and paying attention for what I'm saying. But I'd be happy to support the bill.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions from committee members? Seeing none, we have a first and a second. We had a first from Mr. Linder, I believe, and a second from Mr. Sajjan. Would you like to close, Mr.?
No, thank you. I respectfully ask for a vote.
Mr. Chair, so that the travelers are accustomed to the same hours, would this be the same hours as we have in the Northern California?
Yeah, it would be the same as Northern California. So in Northern California, if I remember this correctly, it's
5 to 9, 3 to 7.
Yeah, I think it's 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. and then 3 p.m. to 7 p.m., something like that. That's rush hour, and they'd still be carpool lanes then, but then during the rest of the time, anybody could use them.
Yeah. So the public will be accustomed to wherever they are in California that the laws are the same?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mr. Gatto, I really do understand what you're trying to do, and I agree that one size doesn't fit all, that Northern California does have it right, and I'm supportive and very supportive of your bill.
Thank you.
So, Madam Secretary, with that, would you please call the roll?
The motion is a due pass to appropriations. Frazier?
Aye.
Frazier, aye. Ashajian?
Aye.
Ashajian, aye. Baker?
Aye.
Baker, aye. Bloom? Campos? Campos, aye. Chu?
Aye.
Chu, aye. Daly?
Aye.
Daly, aye. Dodd?
Aye.
Dodd, aye. Eduardo Garcia?
Aye.
Eduardo Garcia, aye. Gomez? Gomez, aye. Kim?
Aye.
Kim, aye. Linder? Linder, aye. Medina? Medina, aye. Melendez? Melendez, aye. Nazarian? O'Donnell? O'Donnell, aye.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Gatto, your bill's out. We'll leave the roll open in case there's any members that are missing.
Terrific. Thank you.
Mr. Levine. So AB 157, Mr. Levine, good afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair and members. One of the worst bottlenecks in the Bay Area evening commute occurs on Highway 101 North and Interstate 580 East approaching the Richmond-San Rafael Bridge. To address this, the Bay Area Toll Authority under the Metropolitan Transportation Commission is proposing to add a third lane to the bridge for the eastbound evening peak commute. Additionally, this project will include adding a bike lane to the bridge to close a significant gap in the 270-mile Bay Trail. As the committee analysis points out, this bridge was built in 1956 with 3 lanes of traffic in each direction. Consequently, restoring the third lane now does not involve major bridge construction. However, time estimates for completion of this project are as long as 3 years. AB 157 will help speed up that process by as much as 18 months by requiring that the design work be done concurrently with the environmental review. Since the introduction of this bill, the Bay Area Toll Authority has met and voted to pursue the design work concurrently with the environmental review. I'm working closely with BATA, and I'm encouraging them to take additional steps to open the third lane as early as possible. By requiring that the design work be done concurrently with the environmental review, AB 157 will protect BATA from any potential legal challenge to doing the design work early. However, in no way does this bill predetermine the outcome of the EIR, nor does it absolve BATA of legal risks related to the EIR. If you look at page 3, line 3 of the bill, you will see that AB 157 would apply only if the project goes forward. Page 3, line 7 also provides that this is only required to the extent feasible. Consequently, on its face, AB 157 recognizes that the outcome of the environmental review is not yet known. It could very well be that the design work go forward, only for the environmental review later to determine that this project is not feasible. I sincerely doubt that this will happen, but this bill recognizes that as a possibility. Chair and members, this is a very important issue in my district. Commuters need the third lane to be opened as soon as possible. There are several people with me today to testify in support.
Move the bill.
Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblymember Levine, for your leadership on this issue. Thank you, Chair Frazier and Vice Chair Saujian. My name is John Grubb. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at the Bay Area Council. We represent the largest employers in the San Francisco Silicon Valley Bay Area. We've been around since 1945 as an organization, and one of our first projects was actually the Richmond-San Rafael Bridge. We helped cause studies to be to demonstrate the need, and then help drive through that legislation to actually create the Richmond-San Rafael Bridge with 3 lanes on it. We feel sometimes in our weaker moments in California we have an attitude that it can't be done. But there's been other times when we've proven that we can. In 2007, a tanker truck overturned on the MacArthur Maze. You may remember this. It spilled fuel all over the place and burned the approach to the Bay Bridge. Caltrans expedited its internal approval process, and I-580 was completely reconstructed in just 25 days. In 1989, after the Loma Prieta earthquake, again the Bay Bridge got shut down. They turned, our region turned to the Richmond-San Rafael Bridge, and within a couple of days had 3 lanes operating on that bridge again. And indeed, with this bridge, for the first 20 years, it had 3 lanes. They turned it to 2 when they brought a pipeline across during the drought in the 70s. So right now, the situation is that traffic in our region around this bridge is backing up 7 miles each way. Drivers suffer over 4,500 hours of delay each day just during the evening commute, contributing an additional 88,449 pounds of avoidable greenhouse gas emissions to our air. Those other examples were emergencies, but we feel this is an emergency of another kind. And so our position at the Bay Area Council is that we can make the Richmond Bridge 3rd lane an example that we can get it done, and done fast and effectively. We'd like to show people that we care about their frustration and want to work with all urgency to make their lives better. We work a lot with the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, the Bay Area Toll Authority, and Caltrans, and they have talked to us and said that they appreciate this bill because it keeps the pressure on to move the project forward as quickly as possible within the framework that's there. So I would respectfully request an aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Kathy Christian, I represent Marin County. I won't belabor this. I echo everything that my colleague just mentioned. This bill addresses a real problem. From 4 o'clock in the afternoon until 8 o'clock at night, the traffic backs up from the approach to the bridge all the way back to Highway 101. 101 is the only corridor for commerce, school children, and regular people up and down the length from San Francisco all the way to Sonoma. The economic, aside from the environmental impact, the economic impact on the county is substantial and severe. So we agree. Marin County and its residents are I think maybe world-renowned for being supporters of environmental laws, and certainly CEQA. We would never support something that undermined the basic premises of CEQA. And yet, you can see that with the bridge, there aren't a lot of alternatives, and the crisis is upon us now. So providing for a parallel path for the environmental review and the design to go along at the same time will be a great benefit to the whole Bay Area, and in particular to Marin County, my client. So we urge you to give this bill favorable consideration and to see it as one of those unique circumstances where the legislature can make a difference in turning a bad situation into a much better one. Thank you, and urge your aye vote.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members. Gus Corey here on behalf of the Transportation Authority Marin. I want to thank Assemblymember Levine for carrying the measure, and for sake of time, I'll affiliate myself with the previous comments made. I think they pretty much said it all. I would just strongly urge you to consider moving the proposal forward. It is a district bill which impacts the residents of Marin and Contra Costa counties. Ask for your aye vote.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Justin Fanzal here on behalf of MTC. As you know, MTC is the regional transportation agency for the 9 counties of the Bay Area. The Legislative Committee for MTC is meeting on Wednesday. However, I was called just an hour ago by the chair of that committee to say, please go and let them know that we are intending to support the bill. We're working with the author and all of the parties to make sure that those protections of the environmental review are reflected as we move forward. While we want people to go to work at building this project that also allows people to commute to and from work to this project, we do want to make sure that those environmental protections are guaranteed. So on Wednesday you will have our letter of support, but we are here today to offer our support to the author. Thanks.
Mr. Chairman, members, Mark Watts. I'm representing Wareham Companies, developers in the East Bay, and they developed everything from the original Pixar studios to currently owning and operating important state labs and other facilities, and our tenants would really like the relief that this bill has promised for. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members. Kiara Ross on behalf of the Marin County Council of Mayors and council members, as well as the City of San Rafael. I'll just note that for us, this is as well as a very important project, district project, and something that we think is well worth doing. We think we can balance the environmental protections with the need to make the work on the roadway happen. So thank you very much in support of the bill.
Any other members of the public in support of the bill who would like to speak on it? Any members of the public that would like to speak in opposition to the bill? Seeing none, any committee members have any questions of the author? Mr. Dodd.
Yeah, Assemblymember Levine, is there any that you know of obligations or liabilities that pass off to the state of California from MTC if this bill passes?
None
otherwise wouldn't be there.
None whatsoever, and MTC hasn't asked me to do anything to that effect.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Any other members have any questions? Mr. Levine, would you like to close?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair and members, for your consideration of this important district bill. I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Levine, for coming today. And I'm all about speeding project delivery, but I have 2 concerns with this bill. One is my opinion that it's not necessary because BATA has already voted to proceed with this design at risk bill, design at risk project. And I'm not really inclined to micromanage local authorities, so even if they hadn't voted for this, I'd object to telling them how to proceed. And I do have a few concerns about the risk going forward. So I'm going to be holding off on this bill, and hopefully we can come to some kind of understanding of what this will entail going forward. So I'm looking forward to working with you if it does get through, and then hopefully I can support it on the floor as we do. Madam Secretary, will you take the vote, please?
The motion is a do pass. Frazier? Ashajian? Ashajian, aye. Baker? Aye. Baker, aye. Bloom? Aye. Bloom, aye. Campos? Aye. Campos, aye. Chu? Aye. Chu, aye. Daly? Aye. Daly, aye. Dodd?
Aye.
Dodd, aye. Eduardo Garcia?
Aye.
Eduardo Garcia, aye. Gomez? Aye. Gomez, aye. Kim? Aye. Kim, aye. Linder?
Aye.
Linder, aye. Medina?
Aye.
Medina, aye. Melendez? Aye. Melendez, aye. Nazarian?
Aye.
Nazarian, aye. O'Donnell?
Aye.
O'Donnell, aye.
Your bill is out. We'll leave the roll open for any members that are missing.
Thank you so much, members.